Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Toby Eunice of a Gypsy's Kiss. Stick with me a couple of seconds and I will introduce you to the gentleman and searcher on the other side of this screen. Welcome back. I am very pleased to make this the first of our It's All About You campaign interviews. Mr. Kaiser was the first one to fill out the application and the first one of our interviews that we'll be posting. And I'm very happy it was Bill because Bill is a great guy and has a lot to talk about. So let me introduce you to Bill Kaiser. Hi, Bill. How are you doing tonight?
Pretty good, Toby. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm just happy all the technology is working out and that we don't have to start this a fifth time.
That's good. This is like the first time I've ever done this. So.
Yeah, you're doing really, really well. The communication is great. Your audio is great. Your lighting is great. So let's begin at the beginning. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are?
I'm Bill Kaiser. I live just south of Raleigh, North Carolina, which puts me a little bit out of the search zone, makes it a little bit harder for me. But I've got a lovely wife, Holly. I've been married almost 15 years. Three children, Anna, who's 13, Jackson, who's 12, and Lauren, who's 8 years old. Quality engineer. I was a machinist for many years and moved into the quality end of manufacturing, and that's how I make my living. That's how I'm able to go out west a little bit and look for treasure.
Well, that's a great field to be in. And you live in a very nice area. I used to do a lot of work down in that Research Triangle area, the schools and the technology companies. It's a for people that don't know much about it, it's a great place to live between the Atlantic Ocean and the mountains. It's just, it gives you a lot of access to a lot of different areas. So nice place to be.
Yeah, one weekend we can head to the beach, and the other weekend we can head to the mountains. So I love living here.
Very nice. Yeah, I liked it a lot. I liked my daughter went down to school. Is that Raleigh? At Johnson and Wales University. So
we're just south of Raleigh, about 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, so what year did you start in the Fenn, searching for Fenn's treasure, and what was the impetus that, what gave you the impetus to start the search?
I knew about it in about 2013. I think that's when a lot of people found out about it. I think it became more public at the time. But there wasn't the information available that there is now, so to go on and look at it, you were overwhelmed by it. But throughout the last probably 5 years, I dabbled in it a little bit, but never got serious. And then this year, I kind of thought I had this great idea about it. So I started researching it and found out my great idea was pretty laughable, actually. But about April this past year is when I really got serious about looking for the treasure and trying to figure out what these clues are.
And how does, those of us as searchers struggle with our relationships because everybody treats us, not everybody, but a lot of people treat us like we're just a little bit crazy. How does your wife feel about what you're doing?
Well, it was kind of funny because when I first started talking about it, she was kind of like, "You're looking for what? Like treasure? What are you talking about?" And so I kept it a little bit quiet. I wasn't very good at it. And then I think once I showed her my solve, she looked at me and she said, "So when are you flying out?" So she's kind of turned the corner a little bit, all the way to, I think she's coming out with me next time I go. So.
Oh, congratulations. That's a lot of progress.
It
so
is.
Off topic here a little bit, but that doesn't sound to me like a North Carolina accent. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from northern Wisconsin.
Yeah, that sounds more like it. Yeah, that sounds like a northern Wisconsin accent. So
people love for me to say certain words down here.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. And do you still root for the Green Bay Packers, or have you got
Green Bay Packers all the way. every time I see people like Joel Lewicki, and I think that other lady that's on there from Minnesota, I think they're just
Jana.
fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in which state do you believe Fenn hid the treasure, and what motivates you to that state?
Well, I'd like to say everybody go to Wyoming and go to West Yellowstone and just keep going up there. But I'm looking with the redheaded stepchild of Colorado. I think I might be about the only one who goes more than like 10 miles into the state. I believe it's there. That's just where the clues have led me. And I think that like when people drive into Colorado and they're looking for the treasure, they kind of just like, turn around, it's not in there. And just kind of get that feeling. So yeah, right now I'm in Colorado.
Well,
I believe it is.
Your redheaded child description is good for Colorado, since Colorado in Spanish is the color red. So there's been a lot of talk this year about Fenn's, quote, gut feeling, unquote, with the expectation that somebody's going to find the treasure this summer. When do you think the treasure is going to be found?
Hopefully mid-August when I'm looking for it, but I don't think it will be found this year. I think within the next couple of years, but then I look back on, what he said in the past. He's talked 1,000 years down the road, then all of a sudden this year. So I believe that maybe somebody has given him, a solve that's real close and that he thinks they're going to find it this year. But hopefully this year if it's me, but you never know.
So one of the questions we asked in our interview, the interview that you filled out, was what you believed was the % probability that you would find the treasure, that you would find Fenn's treasure. And there's only one of those, so it's not like you're looking for, a dozen different treasures. And you said 51 to 75% probability. I thought that was a pretty high level of confidence.
That was really high.
Yeah.
I was probably very excited that day.
Okay, I just want to make sure. That's a good number. So tell me what you think the chances are that it's going to be you that finds Forrest Fenn's treasure.
When I was flying out to Denver on my first trip out there, on my only trip out there, I would have said 100%. And I think I'm like a lot of people when they first go looking for it. It's a recovery mission and not a recon mission.
There you go.
I found that Google Maps, the area is a lot bigger than you really know. And then I would have said yesterday 1% to 25%, and then Man Alone came on and made it a negative % for everybody. So
right.
But yeah. I would say in that 1 to 25%.
Good. So I think you've said in the questionnaire you answered that you'd been boots on the ground 1 to 5 times, the number you gave. So as I understand it, you've been boots on the ground once. Tell us about that trip and kind of how it impacted you.
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, I went out there thinking I was going to find a treasure, and I mean that was the main goal of the trip. The whole way out there, I flew up to Newark and then over to Denver. But yeah, the whole way it was about the treasure, and I got out there and I didn't realize how beautiful Colorado was, and how the area I was in, it was massive, and just how tall and how just beautiful. At one point I'm looking down at this river and it's got to be 500 feet below me and you can see forever, and it was amazing. And I came out of that trip, I didn't find the treasure, but I came away with the spot that, man, I can't wait to take my wife and kids someday. So that was cool. I mean, I think I sent you a picture. I saw some elk, which was cool. I grew up hunting in northern Wisconsin, and I've never seen an elk in the wild before. So to come over a little ridge and see some elk standing there that alone was worth the trip.
Well, what's interesting is yours was late autumn, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So the trees, the trees were already off their color, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's interesting because you probably have, as you said earlier, spent some time in the Smokies. The Smokies are beautiful. They have streams and lakes and a little bit more deciduous than coniferous. But what happens when you come to the Rockies is you're made very aware of the difference in size. right?
Yes.
The Smokies are much older. So tell us a little bit about that, about you know, how you felt about that significant difference having spent time in the Smokies.
Well, I mean, the Smokies, it's one mountaintop after another, where that's kind of what I expected out of the Rocky Mountains. But you know, when I drove to my spot, it's like I'm in a big plain. It's a huge field, but you can see mountains forever. So that was the thing that struck me. And then when you get beside some of these, I mean, it'd just be a straight up cliff for 2,000 feet. Now, that's something we don't see here. So that was a huge difference for me.
Or like you say, looking down to a river 500 feet below, you know, if not, in some cases, not, if not further. So
you don't see that.
I think one of the experience all first-time searchers have is that their solution, the distance between clue 1 and clue 9, is pretty good sized. And I know mine was. I'm going to guess that yours was. So tell me a little bit about how the distance between clue 1 and clue 9 in your first time out, and how that's changed, either plus or minus, since then.
Well, nothing's actually really changed with my solve, except I looked at quickly down. I look at it different. You know, I think everybody looks down at the ground, or down if you're up above, down into a canyon. But you don't say that when you're, you know, say look down the road. So that's where my solve has changed. But from clue 1 to clue 9, the total distance is probably, I guess I never mapped it out, but I would say 10 miles. But from clue 1 to clue 9 is probably less than a mile when you map it all out. It almost makes a full circle. So.
All right. Well, good. That's an interesting perspective. So one of the questions I asked in the questionnaire was, how many of Fenn's memoirs do you own? And I listed 3, and then I gave you the option of none of the above, and you said none. How has that either helped or hindered your search strategies?
Well, it was kind of by design and by the fact that I was a Collected Works bookstore, sells the books.
Collected Works,
they're
right.
They're out of the thrill of the chase right now. And me being so new to it, it hasn't been in stock since I started. But I kind of wanted to do my solve, and I didn't want to get manipulated by things that I'm going to pull out of the book that really are just aberrations, that really aren't there, that lead me in the wrong direction. So I'm at that point now where I've got my solve. I know what I want to do. I know where I want to go. But is there anything in that book now that leads me to that final spot? Because I have everything up to that final spot that I believe, you know, and a lot of people do. But I have watched the, what'd you guys do today? The book club.
Oh, the book club.
Book club.
Chapter 16 in the book club.
So I've watched all those, and there's a couple things I got out of there about the actual spot where I think it is. So
well, good. We're happy.
Yeah, I don't want to pull things out that draw me away from my spot.
Right. No, I think that's an important part of the process, is to make sure that you don't get drawn away with some form of counterintelligence, whether it comes from Fenn or anyone else. So, well, we are going to be up there, weekend after next for Fennbury, and apparently they're planning a book signing. The implication is that there are going to be books to be signed. So I'll text you if there are books there, and you can get it at Collected Works price, and I'll send it out to you. So.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
All right.
That'd be awesome.
So, so we all conduct a reasonable amount of research in all of this. Which of the things, what are your big research strategies, and which of the tools on the internet, or any place else for that matter, either analog or digital tools, do you find the most helpful to your to developing your search strategies?
At first it was mainly Google Earth and a topography map. Now I do a lot of YouTube videos. I don't go too much on online blogs because there's just so much information there. And I mean, 95% of the people, they have their solve, they're going out to find it this weekend. And that's what I find different between YouTube and the online blogs is I think there's a more realistic state with the YouTube. But I've talked to Dale Neitzel a little bit. He's helped me out just through emailing. A couple other people I've emailed, but mostly YouTube and maps.
Well, good. I mean, those are both good, reasonable strategies. And considering you don't have any of the memoirs, it could be that they would otherwise be distractions for you. So it might be good to have this more, what is it, monastic, monkish approach to the search, where you isolate yourself with the things that are important to you. So when is your next recon, did you say?
I'm looking at mid-August. It's our 15-year anniversary, and what better way than to go out and find some treasure?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sounds pretty good.
Are you guys planning to take the kids with you, or is this just a anniversary trip?
This is kind of the low-key anniversary trip, and then maybe a bigger one in a few months.
Nice.
It's a cheap flight out to Colorado, so why not?
Yeah, from where you're at. Yeah. It would be. So based on your experience thus far, I know it's only one boots on the ground, but it sounds like you've done a lot of additional research and have a real good sense of where you want to be. What advice would you give to other searchers in the community?
I think just try to keep some of the noise out. I mean, there's so much information that you can look up. I guess the way I like the way I've done it. It works different from everybody else, but for me, I think the best research tool was that I didn't let any of the outside noise get to me, and then I started to try to debunk my spot. I think that's where I'm at now. Is okay. I have my solve. Can I disprove my solve? So I think that was a good approach for me, and I think it was a good approach for everybody. And obviously, stay safe. Don't get yourself in a bad situation.
What I discovered is once you develop a solution, it's like playing chess, a one-person game of chess, where you're playing both sides of the board, and you kind of know that you have to play them equally well. And I think that process that you just described of testing your solution from a negative perspective, playing the devil's advocate as far as your solution, is a really good process to go through, because I think not only does it improve your solution, but it gives you the opportunity to think about the things that you might not otherwise think about, because we get locked into that solution. That's
I've seen a lot of people on YouTubes and in the blogs where it's like they start deciphering stuff just to make their solution work. And he says, don't do that.
One of the tools that we use, Shelley and I, is when people ask us about how far our solution has gotten, or where we think that, we tell them we don't know. And we think that's kind of the best strategy, because if somehow or the other you get trapped in being someplace, and I have gone through this, you're going to be disappointed. So the best thing to do is say, I don't know. I'll keep working at it, And,
until I find it, I don't know.
That's exactly it. So, well, Bill, this has been a great conversation. Thank you very much, not only for taking the time to fill out the questionnaire, but then taking the time to arrange this call. And I'm sure everybody's going to appreciate that you were so open and informative. So if you're a Forrest Fenn treasure hunter and you would like to participate in our It's All About You campaign, I'm going to post the link to the interview questionnaire down below. We have a list of about 30 right now, and I'm just going through them in order of when they appear. Bill was our first respondent, and so we'll get to you eventually, but we look forward to it because we want everyone, or as many searchers as we can, to have this kind of conversation and share with everyone else their thoughts, their solutions to whatever extent they choose, and kind of how they're feeling about this search for this treasure. So, Bill, again, thanks for joining us today. I'm going to go with an outro, but again, thank you, and stay on. As soon as I stop this, we'll talk a little bit more. Okay?
Sounds good.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Here's our outro for you.